Okay. Welcome to our October 22nd Governing Board meeting for Maricopa Unified School District. I have 6:30. Mrs. Hahn, roll call. Present.
Present.
All right, thank you. Could I have the Rotary students of the month lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And if everyone will please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do I have a motion or any changes on adoption of the agenda?
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have an agenda. All right, that brings us to our call to the public. I do have 2 speaker cards. Please remember to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Make sure they're appropriate, no foul language, nothing derogatory. Board members cannot respond to comments other than asking staff to follow up with the matter. So I have J.C. Shepard. And then Joe Holt, you're after her. No, yeah, it comes off. There you go.
Hello to everyone. Thank you, Dr. Chestnut, President Addison, and fellow members that I get to speak and come here. My name is J.Z. Shepard. I'm currently running to be on the school board this year, and I'm really, really excited. When I just started to make this decision and get signatures and get people to, vote for me, there were some things that I know they say we shouldn't do, but I promised some things, and that was to be, number one, a mediator between the public and the citizens and with our school and our principals. And so when everybody was relaxing and having fun this October and going on vacations for fall break, I decided to go and meet with our principals. And there were some very interesting things that I got to know and build rapport with our principals. I didn't get all the principals, of course, in 1 week, but I'm excited that I got to speak with at least 4 of them, I'm sorry. 3 were elementary and 1 middle school, and I am setting up for currently to meet with the high school. She had to reschedule, but awesome things that's going on in our schools, and I'm so excited to speak about those things. But then also when I was building this report, I was especially trying to make sure that they explained to me their needs. Mainly their needs were they needed time to develop their teachers. They needed extracurricular activities. And they especially needed more counselors involved, therapeutic counselors. And lastly, they really, really needed to have pretty much our students staying here. We have a myth going on right now that there's some kind of contract going on with the school, with other districts, and that's all a lie. And really, we just need our students to stay here to focus on what's best for our community. And I forgot we get time, so let me roll down to pretty much what I presented to them. And I said that I will try to develop those ideas of bringing mentors. That's not just athletic mentoring. I'm talking about extracurricular activities, science, things like that, arts, so our students can bring out their gifts. And lastly, I would like to end with this, since I don't have much else to talk about now that I have 30 seconds. Let me just remind our community that I'm using a scripture in Psalms 127. Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him. Children are born to a young man are like arrows in a warrior's hand. How joyful is the man who quivers is full of them. He will not be put to shame when he confronts his accusers at the city gates. Let's support our children. It doesn't have to be your child that's in this district, because they're all of our children. And we need to do what's best for them right now. Thank you. And I'm J.Z. Shepard. Sorry.
Thank you, J.Z. Joe Holt.
Thank you, President Anderson, members of the board, Superintendent Chestnut, members of the audience. My name is Joe Holt, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the board tonight as a resident not of Maricopa but of Legislative District 11 and a candidate for State Senate. I'm also very proud to have been endorsed and financially supported by the Arizona Education Association in this campaign. Tonight I just wanted to stand in support of the Maricopa Unified budget override which will be on this November's ballot, which is coming up very soon, thank goodness, right? I think we're all ready for that. I want to take this opportunity to offer a reminder about Article 11, Section 10 of the Arizona State Constitution, which defines the basic parameters for a general and uniform public school system in Arizona from kindergarten to high school, or I'm sorry, to the university level, actually. The Constitution requires funding increases as needed for such a school system, and it contains an explicit directive to future lawmakers to ensure consistent, reliable support for the enhancement, not just the adequacy, but the enhancement and prosperity of all of our public schools. This is the state constitution, and you can see how far we have veered from that original intent. So as a candidate for state senate, I want this to be very clear. What the legislature is essentially saying to our public schools, if you need more money, you go to the taxpayer and you get it. And that is not what the state constitution has said. Just because the state can't afford it, that is not an excuse. It is the legislature's responsibility to make sure that that funding is in place, period. So don't ever let anyone talk you out of full support for this budget override. Until we can change the makeup of the state legislature, the budget override is our best and actually our only option for supporting our public schools. So thank you for the opportunity to address the board, and thank you very much for your service to this community.
Thank you, Joe. All right, that concludes our call to the public, and we are moving on to number 3, our superintendent's report. Dr. Chestnut.
Members of the governing board, a few things to report on tonight, and it's a pleasure to introduce Rotary Club and Joanne Ortega to begin our first installment of recognition for Students of the Month.
Thank you, and congratulations to everybody that's here this evening, especially our Students of the Month. We are going to be honoring these students who have been selected by the teaching staff as the Rotary Students of the Month. And part of that is the Rotary four-way test. And the four-way test is pretty simple. Of the things that we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And then number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now, when the Rotarians first started over 100 years ago, they used this test in their businesses, and their businesses flourished. And we as Rotarians, we apply this test in the things that we do. Now, granted, there's differences of opinion, and we're entitled to that. But overall, as long as when we're dealing with other people, if we believe that the four-way test has been met, then it's a good way to proceed to keep going forward. And this is something that these children have demonstrated. And in the folders that we're going to be giving them, there's a copy of the four-way test and a magnet. a nice little pin, and of course there's a Walmart gift card because it's just a little extra something for them. But also, these students, middle school and high school, become eligible for scholarships. For the middle school, it's a small scholarship if they come to Maricopa High School to offset some of the fees that they have at the high school. For the high school, you get into the opportunity to apply for large dollar scholarships. We gave away, I believe, $8,000 in scholarships last year, and we hope to be able to do something similar this year, thanks to the city for their assistance in a matching grant. Actually, I'm sorry, we gave $9,000 because we had a $1,000 gift that was given for the High School Interact Club. So I'm going to call up now our Students of the Month, and I'm going to begin with Victoria Andrade. Okay, so Victoria didn't show up, but she is from the Maricopa High School. Then Davian Jackson. And Davian's mother is Margaret Jackson. Congratulations. You're welcome. Congratulations. And, okay, Davian is at Maricopa Wells Middle School, 8th grader, and the daughter of Margaret Jackson. Mr. Abel and his staff have nominated her for this award. And Mr. Abel reports that she is an outstanding student, demonstrating excellent character and citizenship skills, and is a member of the Maricopa Wells chapter of the National Junior Honor Society. It's reported to the Rotary Club that she's involved and active in church activities and community service, including work for the food bank and helping clean up parks and roadways. Mr. Abel is honored to be able to nominate such an awesome student for this award. So congratulations. If you'll just go stand right up front by the steps, go ahead. Yeah. Okay. And now I have Nadeem Howery. And Nadeem is, his father is Isa Harris. Mother. That's Isha. Isha Harris? Okay. Congratulations, congratulations. Okay. And 8th grade student at Desert Winds Middle School, and the son of Isan. Okay. I apologize to everybody. Okay. To Isan Harris. And he's been selected by Miss King, the September Rotary Student of the Month. Ms. King reports that you're an outstanding student, demonstrating excellent character and citizenship skills, and is a participant in sports and active in community organizations. You have a lot of responsibility on your plate along with outside curricular activities. You're definitely a hardworking person in the classroom and positive. Trustworthy, dependable. While his mother is at work, he is relied upon to be independent and tend to the home and care of the dog. That's pretty big. Okay, he is left to complete his schoolwork and chores and be self-sufficient. He is involved with football through a league, and I'm sure if he demonstrates teamwork on the field like he does in the classroom, that you are an asset to any team. You're polite and dedicated to your grades, and for those reasons, you've been nominated for the Rotary Student of the Month. And Ms. King is honored to be able to nominate such an awesome student for this award. So congratulations.
Thanks to the Rotary Club. I had the opportunity to meet with them this afternoon at their regular weekly meeting and talk about the override, so it was a pleasure to do that. So thanks again to Rotary. Next up, student representative report from Samantha Dugan, ASB president.
Hello everyone, I'm just here to tell you guys about Maricopa High School's upcoming events right now. Our first event coming up is tomorrow night. It's going to be the volleyball's senior night. It's a blackout. Varsity plays at 6 p.m. We hope that the community can come out and support them. The next one is Powder Puff. We have our upperclassmen supporting breast cancer. It is a game against the upperclassmen. They will be playing on the 27th, next Monday at 7 p.m. at the field. Lastly, we have the senior night for the football team. It is October 31st, Halloween. Our theme is zombie versus human. You're either camo or you're a zombie. And we are playing Catalina Foothills, and we hope that you guys can come out and support. Thank you so much.
Oh, I've got problems with my slides. I thought that I had the right slides here, but my slides are not cooperating. But next up was supposed to be Tracy Davis, who is going to do some recognition of our outstanding homecoming week that we had. And I know that the homecoming committee included Tina Dugan and Eddie Rodriguez. So if you all want to come up and make those presentations, that would be fantastic.
President Anderson, Governing Board, I'm Eddie Rodriguez. I'm chairperson of the Homecoming Committee and the Alumni Club. We're also here to recognize some outstanding students for participating in our homecoming event for 2014. These students thought out of the box. The last homecoming we had was back in 2007, and that was reason of the expansion of the school district. The high school, they ran out of room, and there was no place to do a bonfire. So these students thought out of the box. We were able to get city permits for Copper Sky use. We did the parade. We had alumni game and the bonfire. We had student council cheerleaders, student council, the cheerleaders, and the Ram ambassadors that we'd like to thank for giving their support to us. And we also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for assisting with this homecoming and encouraging local business to decorate their businesses and providing the judges and the winners received VIP treatment at the game along with Ace Hardware. The leadership of these students included floats classes by 2015, 16, 17, 18, as well as clubs and elementary schools. Our bonfire was provided by our local law enforcement explorer, SRO Chris Evans. I'd like to thank him. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Tina Dugan and Ms. Tracy Davis to recognize these outstanding students who participated, gave it the most effort to make this an outstanding event that we really received a lot of recognition from the community out there and the city. So, and of course the support from the Maricopa High School, or the Maricopa schools here. So thank you very much, and Ms. Tina.
Thank you, Eddie. The students I'm about to recognize are from our student council at the high school. If you've never met any of them, they're very amazing young women and men. Sorry. All of them did a lot during the events. They worked with adults to make sure that this was a memorable event for our city, and we'd like to recognize them for that. I'll call your name, and if you'd come forward and stand here, and when you're done, Tracy Davis has just a little treat for each of you, something that she's always given to her students when they've done something worthy of recognition. Karina Perez. Samantha Dugan. Go stand. CJ Larrays, Juan Ruiz, Sierra Reynolds, Mitchell Z. He has like 25 letters in his last name, so. Andrea Torres. Kayla Blackburn. Alexandria Harris. And Jessica Rodriguez. And we left your certificate on the printer. My apologies for that, Jessica. But please join them. All right, if you'd all come down to the first step, and Tracy will present you with a little gift, and I believe Mr. Beckett would like to get your photo as well.
Once again, we'd like to thank these students for their outstanding hard work and dedication. We look forward to making this event a larger and bigger event, more memorial. And again, we'd like to thank the support of the school district. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank the students. It was a great week. We really appreciated it, and thank you for looking so sharp tonight. You guys look very impressive tonight. We really appreciate you getting dressed up and coming out and attending the governing board meeting. Moving on, just had to compliment the Booster Club on a fantastic golf tournament for the Maricopa High School Booster Club on the 27th of September. And I just have to mention that the team that Mr. Roush and I are on finished third. So we're very proud of that. You have to place in the top three.
Mr. Roush, how many drives Dr. Chestnut did you use?
It was nice of him to say that, but the truth is Mr. Roush and his friend carried the day. But anyway, you got to finish in the top three to get any prizes. So we did that. We were very proud of it. Moving on the 8th, we had our district newsletter delivered to 20,000 Maricopa residents, our quarterly newsletter. A lot of good information in there, distributed as an insert to In Maricopa newspaper, and good information in that edition on the override and other really positive things going on in the school district, so it's always fun to get that distributed. Last week on the 16th and 17th, there was a school safety conference at Harrah Chin, and I was able to attend that along with about 4 staff members from the high school. The Pinell County Sheriff's Office was a co-sponsor of that conference, and it was good information, and it was nice to having that so close. And I was proud of our high school administration and counselors for showing up for that conference, and it's a topic that's very important. And like I tell the staff every year at the very first staff meeting of the year, that really our number one priority is not academics. Our number one priority is having safe schools so that students feel safe in the classroom, in the schools, in the lunchroom, playgrounds, and parents feel safe about sending their sons and daughters to our schools. And we work very hard on that. It really starts at a low level with, things like running in the hall and, name calling and any kind of bullying behavior, and that's kind of stuff we're very vigilant on to create a safe and positive learning environment for our students. So just one more opportunity to learn on that topic, and we're always working on that. Last night, Patti, Coutre, and Anna Marie Knorr received ASBA certificates of boardsmanship at the annual Pinell County ASBA dinner. And there's Patti getting her plaque, actually. Very proud of Patti for doing that. And Anna Marie was not able to join us at the meeting last night, but proud of them for putting in time to earn that recognition. I want to remind everybody that November 4th is Election Day, in case you didn't know that. I think most people are pretty well aware of that, but it's a big election for Maricopa Unified School District. We have the override on the ballot as well as 2 MUSD governing board positions. So information is out there. I encourage people to get the information and to remember to vote on that day. Some other big news you may have read about in the newspaper. Was also part of Mayor Price's annual State of the City address recently, and that is that we have a new partnership going with the University of Arizona College of Engineering, which we're very excited about. And on November 4th, the University of Arizona staff from the engineering school will be here at Maricopa High School to provide an overview of what their engineering program has to offer. And then on the 10th, we will take 50 Maricopa High School students to the University of Arizona to tour the College of Engineering. So we're looking forward to increasing that partnership, getting kids thinking about engineering as a major, as a career. We were able to add our engineering class back to Maricopa High School this year. We hadn't been able to offer that for a couple of years, so we know that there's interest out there, and we're looking forward to continuing to build on that partnership with the University of Arizona. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chestnut. All right, that brings us to item 4, which is governing board member reports. Does anybody have anything to report? No? Parties? Okay. Well, last night I conducted the Arizona School Board Association Pinell County Workshop, and we held it at Post and Butte High School in Santan. It's a beautiful high school. It's gigantic. State-of-the-art computer labs. It's pretty amazing, but I shout out to Florence Unified School District for hosting us. We had a good turnout, and it was a nice way for board members and even new board members who are going through the election process to get some information on what a board member really does do. So I appreciate, the board for supporting that and everybody being there. So that's what I've been up to. And we'll move on to item 5. Information work study. 5A is our public hearing for the capital projects. Mr. Roush, is that you or Dr. Chestnut? Mr. Roush. So this is officially our public hearing for our capital projects report. Yes. Okay.
President Anderson, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, this is a once-a-year report, and for any override or capital bonds monies, it is just a quick overview and required by law, and no specific format, but just a review of how monies are spent. We don't have any override funds, so we don't have to report that, but over the past year, we did spend some of our bond funds in our 695 SFB fund. I have a report, and you get this report every month. Mm-hmm. This is just the report for the year. Again, recently we used some of the money to do the warranty work. Some of the other warranty work was out of another fund. So we've done these particular 8 projects in the past, as you can see, and that leaves us with about $211,000 for future. So we have a few projects up there. I'm sure we could probably list a lot more, but we have an adventure course, old gym bathrooms, CTE bathrooms, is some things we've talked about. So, any questions?
When will we be talking about the other projects? Will we be doing that in spring?
We're hoping to continue discussion at our next meeting.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions, or?
That was my only question. I just want to know when we spend the money.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Mr. Roush.
You're welcome.
So that officially closes our public hearing on our capital projects. Okay, discussion of board policy GCQE, retirement of professional staff members. Mr. Beckett.
Thank you, President Anderson, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut. I was asked to help facilitate discussion on this particular policy. As you can see from the cover sheet, just a few leading questions that I provided to you, as well as the policy itself. I did want to give just a brief statement on some of the information that I have gleaned over the last few weeks. I did have an opportunity to review some policies from other school districts, about 45 of them, actually. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of some of the things that I saw. We actually, out of the 45 that I reviewed, 10 policies were exactly like ours. And a number of those were the more rural districts that surround Maricopa County. Additionally, we had 11 districts that have no policy at all. So there's no retirement package at least listed in a policy. It may be part of some sort of agreement with meet and confer or interest-based bargaining committee, but as far as I could see, there was nothing listed under those particular school districts. Under no policy at all. And then additionally, there were 22 others that had a wide variety of different plans that really addressed a number of different issues, anywhere from how to return to work after retirement, insurance payments for work service after they retire, a number of things that are just common sense things that happen in retirement or in some of those policies. So like I said, it provided a pretty wide range. So, but again, the questions that I thought that we needed to probably address tonight are listed for you. And as a facilitator, I'm going to stop talking and let you all talk back to me.
You just want to go through these one at a time? Do you have questions on the screen, or do you want me to? You want to go start with A and start that discussion?
Sure.
Okay.
Are we satisfied with the present policy?
Okay. I'll lead off on A. I'm satisfied with the policy. However, I think the language needs to be cleared up. It's a little vague in spots. So I guess that means I'm not satisfied, right? And I would like to see classified and certified staff, because everybody contributes to the classroom, not just teachers. So if we're going to have a retirement policy, I would like to see it for all employees and at the same formula, because I notice the payouts are different, whether it's certified or classified staff. And if we can keep employees here for 10 years, that's really going to help our district become an A district. So that's my comments. So I guess my comment on A is no, I'm not satisfied.
Okay.
How's that?
But it's more wordsmithing than necessarily content?
Yeah, I mean, the only content is make it the same for all employees.
Very good.
So that answers A and B.
Yes. So then B is, should the policy be inclusive of both professional and support staff members?
And the answer is yes on that. Yes. Okay. Very good.
Mr. Beckett, did we have an opportunity to take this to the staff members to see what their take is? I mean, as a board member, I'm looking at it, and I agree with Mrs. Anderson about the changes, and I think it should be inclusive of all staff members.
Mm-hmm.
But also as a board member, I'd like to know what the staff feels I think it's important to get their feedback, especially if we're looking at the possibility of changing something that could affect their livelihood and their.
Very good. A couple different venues probably we can look at. Either we could do an all-staff survey, or we could actually make this one of our meet and confer agenda items and use that forum for
Yeah.
discussion. So, but yeah, I believe we could do that, yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
Do you have a preference on either one of those?
I would like to see it meet and confer.
Okay.
That's just my own, I think sometimes surveys don't get answered completely.
I'll make
It's
sure.
it's nice to be able to talk in person and kind of get the feedback.
Thank you. I'll make sure it's part of the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
When you solicit that information, I would encourage you to do so in such a way that it is not positioned as, would you like more money or not like more money? Right?
Exactly.
I mean, we have a limited amount of funds, so there's an opportunity cost to have this program in place. So I think it's clear what the answer is if it's, would you like a bonus or not like a bonus, right? But there has to be some understanding that we have a limited amount of financial resources, and so it's pulling from someplace else as a result. My question, my overriding question is the same as it was at our last meeting, which is, does this work? This is titled and positioned to be an incentive, retirement incentive for retaining our veteran teachers. And I'm still, would like any information that you have as far as whether that purpose is served.
And Mr. Bartle, I can only tell you it appears to me that more outlying districts from the center of the valley tend to have policies like this. If that makes sense. I don't know. It may be an indirect correlation. Exactly.
So the teachers that have taken advantage of this policy of ours through the years, why did they retire with MUSD?
As far as I know, since I've been here, we've had 6. So I'm sure that's a great deal. It has to do with the enormous growth that we've had and the opportunities also that our teachers have to move to other locations in the valley. So it's a highly competitive market we're in. And again, I think because of the newness of our staff, I mean, we're looking at probably a 2004 or 5, we've probably got the majority of our staff members coming into the district at that point in time, back in 2001. If we were looking at a 10-year look-back period, we probably have a fraction of the staff at that point in time than we do now. So, but this will be an issue we'll be running to in the next 10 years. We will have staff members that will be looking to retire, and this will be obviously a carrot that could be attractive to them to stay for that reason. Again, maybe we have not done the best job of selling it as well, making sure that it's something that they understand they have.
That was my question. Does this help when you went out this time to hire teachers? Was this used as, the carrot as far as getting employees?
I'll be honest with you, typically I'm working with kids, 20-year-olds, and their vision is, what can I get now? And so we're talking benefits and salary and professional development and how I can get my master's degree. Those are the conversations I typically have. But again, it's an important element that I continue to drive home, that Arizona has one of the greatest retirement systems in the United States. And if you make a career here, it can pay off in the long run. So yes, but I believe that's part of the package we need to preach. Yep.
So we've only had 6 employees since you've been here, so that's not very many.
No, it has not been. Again, just having that, and I think probably at least half of them are classified staff members.
Right. I think so too.
Mr. Beckett, would it, and I don't want to create more work for you and
No,
your
that's
staff,
fine.
but
That's fine.
is it possible for you to put a comparison spreadsheet with the districts that neighbor us, Kyrene, Chandler, Gilbert, Casa Grande, Tempe?
Yes.
And just email it to us so that we can see the different data. And I would also like you to share that with the meet and confer as well. I think they need to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask for just a short grocery list of districts that you want to make sure that we have on that list?
Kyrene, Chandler, Gilbert,
And
Tempe,
I'll be
Casa
honest-
Grande.
Very good, all right.
Because that's, when we're losing our employees, that's where they're going. They're usually not venturing out very far past that.
I would suggest us considering to the northern tier of Pinal County school districts.
Okay.
They probably are more like us than Chandler or Gilbert in terms of demographics and
I agree.
supports.
But yeah.
Because that's our neighboring district, even though it jumps over the reservation, it's still a neighboring.
Well, and the demographics aren't the same, but I'd still like to see it, yeah.
But it's an issue, and we've had this discussion in the past about the definition of our peer group. And in my opinion, it's not similarly, the greatest value is not finding like size or like demographic school districts, but it's our competitive districts. Where are we, in this case, where are we losing teachers to? Right? Because ultimately this program is
Yeah.
predicated on competition. And so I think that's where the greatest value is to know that information. And you mentioned, Mr. Beckett, that this is going to be increasingly, potentially increasingly a great asset with more and more people looking to retire, having been with the school district. It's could also be increasingly a very expensive liability for us economically. So I think that we have to go back to our primary objective is to do the best we can to find out, is this a worthwhile program as an incentive program? Are we achieving our goal of retaining high-quality veteran teachers as a result of this? And I think it's tricky to figure out how to get really honest feedback in that regard, and maybe we have to expand the sample set to other neighboring districts that have similar programs, or just try to figure out how to have some honest conversations with those teachers who, in the coming years, will be in this pool and it'll be applicable for. But if I think there's a high likelihood that we'd be better served taking this money and distributing it elsewhere for retention purposes rather than at the end of people's career when they're already seeing retirement, and there are obviously a whole bunch of benefits that go along with that. And I don't know that this sum, this bonus at the end, is going to keep folks in our district so much as it is just a going away present. So if we can put those funds at that point where we start to lose teachers at that 3 to 5 year mark, wherever it is that is a tipping point for us, then we might be better served.
I mean, that's a different take on it. I happen to disagree. I think we need a retirement plan. I think that with this new stream of teachers, I think that this could be the change of the tide, and we will have some of those teachers here for 10 years plus. And that's how our district is going to be an A district. And I don't think it's a bonus. I think they work hard for it. I think that they've earned it, and they deserve it if they buy into the program and stay with the district. So I don't see it as a bonus. I see them as earning it by their longevity in the district and by helping the district become an A district, because that's what it's going to take. So that's another thing for you to ask the meet and confer. But I feel very strongly that we need a retirement incentive. So, and that's just my opinion. Can we move on to D?
Can I just make one real quick
Sure.
response to Mr. Bottle's point? Believe it or not, I did find 2 policies that are out there right now that actually offer retention bonuses for employees, and it's tied more to tied to a different policy. It's under the salary schedules, but it actually does an incremental payout. Interestingly enough, though, both those policies are designed for support staff, not certified
Really?
staff. But again, I would think the concept could work the same way, whether we offered at year 5, a $500 bonus, and then at year 10, another $500.
I'd be curious. I would like to hear more about that. I think that could be useful as well.
I think this ought to be discussed in the overall context of us changing that compensation model we've been talking about for some time, rather than doing this in a vacuum and then having the other elements separate.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It could be a part of that whole salary structure. Is that what you're talking about? Talking about the salary? Yeah. So that's a good point, too. Item D, do we want to offer the sick leave buyout option? In my opinion, no. I think that the sick leave days are a gift to be used so that our staff doesn't get burned out during that school year. And if you don't use it, then you lose it. I don't think that we need to accumulate sick days if we're already accumulating retirement days. I think that carrying over sick days is counterproductive because you get staff that's burned out and then they come to work sick and they get everybody else sick. So sick days are there for a reason, and in my opinion, they should be taken during the school year.
I agree, but again, I want to see the comparison data before I can't make an informed opinion without seeing some of this other data as well.
I'll just play a little bit of a devil's advocate here. Part of the idea of using and losing it, obviously, you will have staff that will use days then whenever they really aren't sick. And again, there's a specific policy that directs how and when those should be used. There will be instances, too, whenever somebody will get an extended illness and need a sick leave built up from years of accrual, that 20, 30 days that may be necessary for them in order to get through an illness. So that, again, that's another benefit that we do offer, and we do allow rollover of sick leave for employees. I would agree, there's probably some other things we need to look at in terms of districts, but also get staff input on that as well, make sure that's part of the meet and confer agenda.
Do you routinely see a lot of sick days that are not used? Maybe we need to give less sick days.
I can tell you how many I have.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I have over 70, and I've been here for over 7 years now. And so, I mean, if you don't use them, they accrue, of course. And that's, again, it depends upon the individual. We have teachers that use them every year.
Right.
And we've got other teachers that never use one. And interesting enough, I did see another policy that offered a payout for unused sick leave. If you did not use any of your sick leave all year long, you got a $500. If you use one or two, you got $250 at the end of the year. Again, if you consider the cost, the sick leave, the employee's still getting their full day pay,
Right.
and then we pay a substitute on top of that of
Right.
100. I mean, to a certain degree, there could be some possible benefit to looking at that. But
Yeah, okay.
I think it's one of those benefits of being in public school and education system that people don't consider from a compensation standpoint and benefit standpoint. I mean, we dwell on the salary number, but there are not a lot of people I know in the private sector that have 70 sick days accrued and get a big check when they go away, right? And so maybe it's restructuring that so that's into their pay versus out of sick days. And I still think we, as part of this process, we look at a paid time off concept instead of having the sick and vacation days separate. One of the things we also have to be mindful of is what the economic impact is to the district from a substitute standpoint. So we have to manage our costs when we have substitutes versus the cost of keeping employees going to work that day. So
your last question on here is, do you want to include any other language in the policy? I think we've given you lots of...
I think we're going to have a very rich policy. So, yes. I just want to include that in case there's something, like I said, there are districts out there that have multiple page policies on retirement. I think they're a little verbose, but again, that's what they felt they needed to put together in order to address their specific need. And so if there's additional things that come up that you'd like to see addressed in here, we could certainly consider that.
when are we scheduled to start digging in those conversations about the salary schedule and compensation models?
I'm going to be leading that committee, and we're going to start our meetings in November.
And when do you anticipate having the conversation with the board?
We're hoping to have everything finalized in January so that prior to the budget committee starting, they have that information in hand.
All right.
Do you have, what is your directive with staff? Do you have enough information from the board before you start meeting in November to make sure that your efforts are aligned with the board's direction?
Possibly not. We're going to start the conversation again based upon I guess, administrative ideas of what maybe the salary schedule could look like. But again, if you want to make this a study item for a future board meeting, prior to us meeting or even after our first inaugural meeting.
If it's after your initial meeting and have some feedback from staff,
Sure.
but kind of do it in parallel a little bit so that you guys aren't spending a lot of resources and come up with a game plan that's not aligned with what the board was thinking, or at least get feedback from both groups to hopefully create, as efficiently as possible, create an effective plan.
We talked about doing that with the budget process this year at the beginning of the budget committee process, so I think that's a good idea, and I think we should do that about the same time, November, December, with the governing board.
Okay. Does the board have any other discussions or ideas for Mr. Beckett?
Just the encouragement to not kill yourself on this specific policy, but think of it in the broader context of what you're doing with meeting
With the
control
salary
and
schedule.
coming back with the salary schedule. So,
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beckett. Have fun with that.
Always.
5C, review monthly financial report for August 2014. Mr. Roush.
Thank you. You have had a chance to hopefully peruse the report. I always want to point out, we always feature part of our district on there, and the marching band was featured, this report. I did answer a couple questions earlier to President Anderson, and obviously a budget is an ongoing process, and we try and give you a snapshot of the end of the month. So happy to answer any questions.
Well, I was going to ask my question publicly so that everybody can hear what I asked. On the last paragraph, on page 2, you talk about, we see class size funds have total budgets. My question was, you have down here, these amounts are significantly higher in each fund. Fund 11 has 3.5% salary base. Fund 12 will have an increase for performance pay to qualifying staff. And the district will be increasing the number of teachers in Fund 13 to 18 for this upcoming year. So I had just asked for clarification on, were the teachers, more teachers being put into Fund 13 and what that was, or was it extra teachers that we were hiring? And your answer was?
Yeah, this is simply an accounting transaction to
Right.
move staff into Fund 13. And it was 18 last year, so clarifying the language, right now we have 18, but there's perhaps, when we do our budget revision, there's going to be room to move a couple more or 2 to 4 teachers in there. So that frees up more M&O funds, which we always try and preserve for other
Okay,
things.
no, that made sense. That was my question on that, as to why we were moving teachers over, but if it saves money, we like it.
Absolutely.
And then the only other thing, I think this is where it was. Oh, no, it's further down. I'll ask it later.
Okay.
So that was my question on the financial report. Any other discussion? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roush. Okay, that brings us to our item 6, our consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to 7A, our HR. Mr. Beckett.
Thank you, President Anderson, members of the board. Once again, you have in front of you our personnel schedule for this month. If you have any questions, I can take them at this time.
I don't have any questions.
Me neither. I know.
Mrs. Coutre doesn't have questions either. Wow. Mr. Bartle?
I move that we approve the personnel schedule.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beckett. All right, 7B, approve additional contract to D.L. Withers for job order contracting services for Maricopa High School electrical equipment relocation. This is Mr. Roush? Come on up. I feel like I said before, I'm on Price is Right. You should have a name tag. Come on down.
Thank you. This just increases the limit that we're going to spend with Deal Withers over $100,000. So we'd like to have board approval for that. The main reason is we have switch gear and electrical improvements that are needed. We went through 3 major remodels, and there's just a couple things that we needed to tidy up to put us into the future. And we brought in an electrical engineer along with our architect, and are working with ED3, moving some major switchgear out of the middle of the campus that probably, in our opinion, should have been moved in the first place, making it more efficient for some of our other service that goes part of the campus. So, and Deal Withers is helping with that as well as ED3.
So this was a directive from ED3 that we needed to relocate this?
Yeah, they strongly suggested we relocate it because it's a little bit failing, and where it is, it's just in the middle of campus, and it was deteriorating over time. So we have new switch gear that is suggested in ED3, and we need an electrical contractor or job order contractor to help with that. So it's just helping with that, and the funds are coming from adjacent ways funds and the indirect cost fund.
Okay.
So.
Mr. Roush, my only question for this is, does this follow the procedures for acquiring this purchase? Do we have to go through an RFP process for this additional?
No, it's under a consortium bid, so we don't have to go through an RFP. Job order contracting is part of the law that we can follow, and that's what we're following, the job order contracting law.
Okay.
Up until $100,000, we do not need board approval, and over $100,000, it is suggested, but some school districts don't do it, but we feel it's necessary to get our approval from our board.
Thank you. Anybody have any other questions? Any motions?
Move to approve?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Roush. That brings us to item 8. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It is 7:28. We are adjourned. Thank you for staying with us. I appreciate that. Our next board meeting is on November 12th at 6:30, right here